Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Caitlin Smith, your webinar host from Main Street ROI. We're very excited to be having another of our Master Your Marketing series, where we bring together leaders in the digital marketing world to bring you great content focused on ways you can grow your business. The series is sponsored by all of our partners, Active Demand, AdRoll, Likeable Local, WooRank, AdThis, Optimizer, and Lucky Orange. For today's webinar, we're excited to welcome Hugh Morgenbesser, Managing Partner at Likeable Local. The presentation will be about 45 minutes so that we can leave plenty of time at the end for a live Q&A. Feel free to type any questions that you have in the Q&A box along the way, and we'll get back at them at the end of the webinar. As always, today's webinar will be recorded, and we'll send out a replay video along with a PDF of the slides to everyone who has signed up. So if you get calls or are pulled away for work, don't worry, you're not going to miss a thing. With that, I'll turn the webinar over to Hugh so he can get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. And hello, everyone. Welcome to today's SMO webinar. Big thank you to Main Street ROI for having me here. And thanks to all of you for coming and spending this time with me. I'm excited to spend the time with you today and be able to share the information that I think you'll find valuable. First, a quick introduction. I'm your presenter today. I'm coming to you live from the Likeable Local office in Portland, Maine, and my name is Hugh Morgenbesser. I'm the managing partner here, and I co-founded Likeable Local with Dave Kirpin a little over 6 years ago when we set out to help local SMBs leverage the power of social media for their businesses in the same way that Dave and I had been seeing larger brands doing. Dave had already literally written a best-selling book on how to do it, Likeable Social Media, and we created our company to build a product that turned the best practices into easy-to-implement, simple steps for SMBs and agencies to follow to benefit from these platforms that have reinvented the way people communicate and share with one another. I came to Likeable Local as a software developer with an engineering background. I got my degrees in computer science and electrical engineering from MIT. And I've been doing tech things like virtual reality, speech and language understanding. I did teach high school math, and then finally started getting involved with the marketing side of technology when I was on a search engine marketing team at TripAdvisor. And when I teamed up with Dave, it was to build the tech side, but over time, I've gotten more and more involved with every aspect of our business. And today, I offer you my perspective as someone who has seen lots and lots of successful uses of social media to help SMBs grow their business and meet their goals. In case you don't know at all anything about Likeable Local, I'll give a super quick intro, is that we are a white labeled platform that marketing agencies use to manage social media for their clients. Some of our partner agencies use it as a tool for themselves to do the work, and others act as resellers, and our team does the work for them. It includes access to our content library, which is an amazing resource with tons of great social media content that we've created in 75 different categories for small and local businesses. Think about dentists, jewelers, attorneys, real estate professionals, accountants, and so on. Our end user clients typically don't have the time, the ideas, or the know-how to come up with this content on their own. We also do advertising, reporting, and communication to stay aligned with the SMB and their goals. So this is the lens that I've been seeing things for a while. And today's talk is about optimizing social media for these types of businesses. My hope is that if you're in the audience today, that you have an interest in managing social media for local SMBs. For example, maybe you run one of these businesses yourself, or maybe you are a marketer that has clients that fall into this category. So today, I'm going to walk you through some important pieces of what I call SMO, or social media optimization. I'm going to tell you about the way we think about optimization, as well as what we do to give our clients and our agency partners the best success on social media. We're doing this today because we want to help and be in conversation with you, other marketers, agencies, SEO specialists, web developers, and social media entrepreneurs. A rising tide raises all boats, and we hope that you'll not only enjoy the content today, but also that you'll let us know what you think. So reach out to us and consider this the start of a conversation that we're happy to be in. So just to get everyone on the same page, let's start at the beginning. Look up social media in the modern dictionary. aka Google, and you'll see a definition that reads, websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or participate in social networking. I think you guys have heard of this before. Look up optimization in that same amazing dictionary, and you'll find the action of making the best or most effective use of a situation or resource. Putting that together, today's session, social media optimization, is about how to make the most effective use of social media. We're going to be talking about techniques for promoting awareness of a brand, publication, product, etc. on social media, especially by encouraging the sharing of content to accomplish certain goals. So, as a roadmap for today, we'll start by reviewing different types of specific goals that SMBs might have for their social media success, then explore which platforms are best for attaining these goals, and finally, within those platforms, what are the right things to be thinking about in order to get optimal results. At the end, I'll have some time for questions, so as Caitlin mentioned, feel free to add questions as we go, and then I'll do my best to answer them. One question that the definitions I shared might have left you with is, what does it mean to be making the best of? Not everyone has the same goals, so before we can optimize, we have to come to an understanding of our goals. I call this optimizer know thyself. Now, there are two layers of goals that I call attention to. The first layer is what drives the business owner. After all, your trash may be someone else's treasure. Not necessarily to that extreme, but we don't all want the same things. One dentist, for example, may have all the patients she needs. She treats her social media pages as an extension of the landscaping outside of her office or an extension of her waiting room. Another dentist may be just starting up her business, and she needs to get a certain number of new patients by the end of the quarter, or her business will be in jeopardy. So since we aren't all the same, don't all want the same things, before we can optimize, we have to ask and answer the question of what we want out of social media for our business. A valuable tool that we've used in understanding what drives different people is the Enneagram of personality, which categorizes human personalities into different archetypes. Each of these categories is known for a role that they play, but also a basic desire or what drives them. I recommend learning more about this, and you can check out my co-founder Dave's book, The Art of People, or do a Google search for Enneagram. There's a wealth of great content out there. The system is based on human individuals, not SMBs, but we know that business owners are human beings, and they fall into these categories. And we know that it's useful to know who we're dealing with and what they're seeking. These desires range from wanting perfection and purity, or wanting to feel valuable to others, to being seen unique and special, or simply to understand things deeply. That's kind of what drives me, or have new experiences and innovation. A second essential way to look at goals is to look at business objectives that an SMB may have to help them develop their business. We break these business goals down into four broad categories: awareness, loyalty, leads, and sales. So awareness goals are the simplest, most foundational category. They address concerns of SMB owners like, I want people to know that we exist, or I want to get my digital presence off the ground. Or they want to give the appearance of being a part of it, or they know they need to be there. Others might think that it's just important to have a consistently updating and professional presence. We hear from business owners that don't feel great about their websites, but still want a strong digital presence. And some of them just say, I want to make sure I look good when people search for me. Loyalty is one step further up in complexity. This is where we address SMB concerns like, I need my customers to become return customers, or I need my customers to know about upcoming promotions. I want to get more referrals from people I've worked with. So some of these SMBs tell us that they want their customers' friends to become their next customers, or I don't want my customers to forget about me. And to be really specific, they might say something like, I want my customers to actually talk about me on social media, or I want to get more reviews from my customers. So these are examples of loyalty goals. And then leads go even further. Leads are about generating new business and finding new opportunities. These concerns and desires look like, I need more dental patients, or I want more newsletter signups. I need to fill a position and need to find the right person. Something really specific could be, I need to retarget potential customers with ads, depending on where they are in the sales funnel. Or even more specific, when an insurance company refers me to a patient, they usually check out our website and Facebook before calling. Sometimes they even ask for recommendations through Facebook or message our page. Millennials hate to call on the phone. So when that happens, we want to be there to answer them. And last, closest to new revenue is sales-related goals for SMBs. So these goals are literally about wanting to sell more products or get more offer claims or needing people to not just add items to their checkout cart, but to check out and pay for them. So they might want more people to visit their online store or to their Facebook page. Maybe they want more foot traffic in their store in the real world. So these are the kinds of things, along with thinking that people know that they're going to be searching for them when making a decision about a purchase. Now, these goals can overlap. You might be utilizing loyalty to increase return sales or referral leads. So if you want to get the most out of social media, first determine your goals and then ask, what do you want to maximize or optimize? It's worth taking the time to do this work and discovery, because if you don't have it, well, by doing it, it'll help not just with social media, but it's instrumental in really your success in everything. So once you've figured out what you want, now back to optimization and making the most of social media. Social media platforms have a scale that is unmatched in human history as tools for communication. Nearly everyone everywhere is on their mobile devices almost all of the time, and they do this in exchange for the fun and satisfaction of being able to connect with others. As a happy side effect for us marketers, we get to reach people about whatever it is that we wish to promote. But not all social networks are the same. So here's a little bit of background on some of the differences between the social networks. By the way, these details and numbers change all the time, but right now in March 2019 in the US, here's what the different social networks look like, what their strengths are, and why you might choose to focus on each one. Today we're looking at Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Pinterest. Now, one of the major ways that these networks express their size and influence is through the metric monthly active users. And at the top of the list is Facebook. With over 2 billion monthly active users, they are the undisputed king of the hill. Not to mention their ownership and integrations with Instagram and WhatsApp and Messenger, which is a big deal. As a reminder, there are 7.7 billion people on the planet. So, and 26% of those are kids 0 to 14 years old that don't use Facebook. So while not everyone is on Facebook at this point, if an adult in the US is not on, they're most likely a conscientious objector. And the Facebook platform is very rich of features for marketers. Facebook has business pages, which are designed to be able to give businesses an identity within the platform. They have integrated Messenger for businesses. They have groups, and businesses can participate in groups using the business's identity. They have a trove of data on all of their users that gives them the ability to provide targeting options in their advertising platforms that is so powerful that some think it can even influence election outcomes. The use case of SMBs is not nearly so devious, but the point is that this talk could be about Facebook only, and we'd really be covering a good deal of what we call social media in 2019. Some people, by the way, are concerned about users leaving Facebook in droves, but the data doesn't really show this is happening. There's obviously a lot of deeper questions about usage patterns, and I won't pretend to know the future, but for now, Facebook is still growing. Facebook acquired Instagram in 2012 with only 13 employees for what seemed like an incredibly large price tag of $1 billion when it had 40 million monthly active users, but it has since grown by a factor of 25 with now over 1 billion monthly active users. So while I just said that Facebook is the big one, it would not be wise to ignore Instagram. Instagram lacks much of the complexity and the controversy that has clouded Facebook more recently, and it continues to grow really fast. And its integration with parts of Facebook means that many of the benefits I just described are available on Instagram. And also, there's the popular use of hashtags makes it fun to be able to be discovered and participate in trending topics. So the clean design, the visual appeal, it's a fun tone on the network that tends to be more positive, uplifting, less controversial. And they continue to add features that make it a great place for businesses to promote themselves. Now, Twitter is also very large, 300+ million monthly active users, but their growth has really stalled. And while it does have opportunities for influencers and big brands, media personalities, we've honestly struggled to make it a big win for the SMBs that we work with. Twitter's specialty is trending content and timeliness. And it's a lot of work and a major commitment to make Twitter an effective platform for marketing the SMBs that we work with. Next up, LinkedIn, running at 260 million monthly active users. They have company pages as well as individual profiles and really great paid options for power users. This platform is great for connecting with people, and the paid upgrades make it possible to send a direct message to the inbox of someone whose attention you'd like to grab. This is great for entrepreneurs and for B2B marketing. Also, the more prolific writers might like to share longer form content, including articles about the industry they're in. Professional services like accountants or lawyers, or specialties like 401k plan advisors all benefit a lot. I recommend that every professional person aim to keep their individual profile up to date and build their network as they meet people in their industry and in their community. Now, last but not least, in fact, actually right at the same number of users as LinkedIn right now, Pinterest sits with also 260 million monthly active users. Now, Pinterest is really about discovery of ideas and products. If your business produces things that are photogenic and you want to be discovered, then Pinterest can be great. The CEO of Pinterest, Ben Silbermann, has said that he thinks of Pinterest as a catalog of ideas that inspire users to go out and do that thing. So if that's in alignment with your business, this is for you. Now, size isn't everything. There are lots of differences between what users are doing on these platforms and what opportunities exist for different types of businesses. And as my co-founder Dave says, do you know what's better than reaching 1.8 billion people on social media? Reaching the right 18 people. So we emphasize the platforms that play to your business's strengths and goals. We focus on cultivating and building the right audience by utilizing the applicable conventions on each platform. And that's how we reach more of the right people for your business. Up until now, I've talked about the different types of people that operate SMBs, their business goals, and the different social media platforms. But now I hope you're ready, because I'm going to let you in on the big secret of social media optimization. This secret will make the high price of your admission worth it. Are you ready for the big secret? The big secret is, well, there is no big secret or shortcut to success. We decide our goals, we learn all of the controls, we pay attention to the results, and make lots and lots of small progress. In James Clear's recent book, Atomic Habits, he opens with the story about the British cycling team and the power of the aggregation of marginal gains. The story is centered around the management philosophy that there doesn't need to be one big idea or a fix, but the path to success for the cycling team was doing all of the little things right. If they could rack up a bunch of 1% improvements, the theory went, the 1% improvements aggregate and compound, and quickly they have a team that performs at the top of their game. This concept of aggregation of marginal gains is the big secret of social media optimization. So winning on social means doing lots and lots of little things right. It means we're looking at every option in every settings panel, asking whether that option supports our goals. It means looking at data and tracking whatever I can and asking interesting questions and paying attention to what others are doing, seeing how it applies to what we're trying to do. It means revisiting the settings regularly and seeing what new options pop up and learning how they affect our business. So although there isn't any single secret ingredient to social media success, there are many best practices and non-secrets that we're going to share with you today. And by the way, at the end of this talk, I'll share a link for a free downloadable checklist that we've created for you. It's a great resource for you to put these ideas into practice. And one last point to remember about the power of 1% improvements is that a 1% improvement every day for a year provides 37 times improvement. So these bits, by the way, some will give you more than 1%. And when you download your checklist, you might first think it's a giant list of chores, but while that's true, it's a giant list of opportunities to chip away and end up with some really powerful results. So let's get started on aggregating our marginal gains. So we've grouped together batches of our checklist items into these themes, and I'll go into more depth into these 5 optimization concepts today. So there's core components, tracking, consistency, communications, and objective-based spending. The first concept is what I call the core components. This is where we get to perform profile enhancement surgery. Here you go to the profile, the business page on each platform and take a look at everything that you're allowed to edit. And then we select choices in alignment with the goals that we identified earlier. On Facebook, for example, choose an easily identifiable graphic for the profile picture. This shows up on all the Facebook posts by the page as well as every comment. So hopefully your business has a simple logo that fits or can be adapted to fit in the space provided. Remember, it shows up in a much smaller size in some of the context, so if there's too much detail, it will get lost. The cover photo and a call to action button on the page is a place to emphasize the goals that we worked through earlier. So for businesses focusing on loyalty, use a team photo like this one, or for sales goals, make the cover photo informative about your product or your latest promotion. By the way, cover photos can now be cover videos. So if you really want to catch people's attention, try a video here. By the way, the videos work on both desktop and mobile. And by the way, it's tempting to set these things and forget them. But if you want to be noticed, and hint, we want to be noticed, then go in and and change your profile picture from time to time. So we do want to be easily identifiable, so we don't start from scratch each time. But here's a great idea from Old Town Canoe Company, a maker of historic canoes here in Maine, where they make occasional holiday tweaks to their profile photo. For example, notice on the left, their traditional profile picture. Then on the right, they had a Halloween-themed one that caught people's attention. So keeping things fresh by regularly revisiting core components and making slight edits to your profile photo can be a great hit with your fans. Another area to get right is to make sure to use a great page name and a great page username. These are slightly different. The page name is the display name and is the text used as the title of the page. Users search for this, and multiple pages can actually have the same name, but every page also gets a unique page username. And these make their way into the URLs on the different platforms and can also be used for searching and tagging your business. Since they're unique, you should aim to have the same username across all social networks so you can be found easily everywhere. Another core component is about the page category setting. A lot of people overlook this. The lists of categories are predetermined by the social networks, and there may not be one that perfectly matches your business, but the categories help people find your page. Pages can have up to three categories, but the first one should be your best match. And an incorrect or suboptimal setting here might prevent people from finding you or prevent people from reaching out. So as an example, Trademark Mechanical provides all HVAC services. So when they were labeled as merely a water heater installation and repair service, that would prevent people from reaching out about other HVAC services. So take the time, make sure you choose the best available option for your business. And descriptions is a critical piece as well. So even though we've just been looking at Facebook pages so far, all of these things that we're discussing are mirrored on the other social networks. Instagram business profiles, for example, here you see the same picture options, the username, the display name, but you'll also see a description. And on Instagram, your description is front and center. And here's where I suggest that you use your keyword mindset. Any place that you have the chance to write a description, you got to go ahead and you say all the right things to be found. This is basically your SEO on social. So go ahead, be direct and to the point, and say the words that you think people will search for that you want your business to show up for. This is true for all of the description text on all the platforms. And by the way, sometimes they're limited by character count, so you have to be precise. And let's take a deeper look at calls to action. Notice that the platforms offer some call to action buttons, and these should really align perfectly with the goals you identify. So what action do you want people to take when they're on your page or when they're interacting with you? And similar to page categories, you are limited to what the platforms support in terms of calls to action. So on Instagram, some of the calls to action are locked to third-party plugins. So if you wanted to have a book now on Instagram, you'd need to use one of the Instagram's approved booking plugins. So think about what your goals are early on in the process. And these calls to actions, by the way, they can be used to drive to landing pages, start messaging conversations, trigger phone calls, or directions from mobile phones, and more. So second key concept here is about utilizing tracking. And I think if you haven't already done this, you want to go and get your Facebook pixel installed on your company's website immediately because, well, why you should use this pixel and what you can do with it is a topic deserving of a whole another webinar. But for today, the Facebook pixel is going to create a bridge between your website world and your Facebook advertisements. You can combine the targeting options on Facebook with the ability to retarget and create lookalike audiences from people who have visited your website and even completed certain actions on your website. And this is seriously powerful. So there's a lot you can do with this, and you want to think about what website actions are aligned with your goals so that you can use pixel tracking codes for these actions. Along the same lines in tracking is this other piece of brilliant technology. It's something called a custom conversion. Here's an example where if someone is searching for elder or elderly, Hollywood, Florida on the client website, the custom conversion allows us to create a list for retargeting of people that are searching for, in this case, what we've deduced to be elderly care in the area of Hollywood, Florida. Now, we can also even tell Facebook that it's worth $25 for when someone completes this action. So that number, it's not a made-up number. We looked at historical and client-provided data to determine what value that action is worth. So, for example, if 1 out of 50 searches of that nature results in a new client, and a new client was say worth $1,250, then this action is worth $25. So we can now accurately tally a true return on ad spend for this client's campaigns for this custom conversion. Beyond custom conversions, you can easily assign the value of actions like filling out a contact form, adding something to a cart, purchases to determine the exact ROI for more common actions. And another tracking tip on Facebook is the use of custom audiences. You should be saving data that you're using for tracking for custom audiences, as that allows you to retarget them and watch their progression through a sales funnel. You can utilize off-site conversion data that matches up with conversions that happen offline to your campaign results. So if someone sees an ad and calls you, now you can know. So third concept is what I call social vitamin C. So consistency is the social vitamin C. Social media is on all the time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is no break. And this is a challenge and is one of the chief reasons why we get so many people asking for help with their social media. But consistency is more effective than bursts. So we pick a level that we find sustainable with whatever resources we have, and we commit and stick to it. So this refers to the consistency of monitoring, posting, engaging. So here we see some numbers for recommended posts per week for each network's SMBs. For SMBs on each of the networks. These numbers are based on the network, so and also the business line. So, for example, a lawyer shouldn't necessarily focus on putting 5 to 10 posts on Instagram every week if it will keep them from publishing the 3 to 5 posts on LinkedIn. You also need to monitor things like messages and comments and reviews across all the networks. So we monitor the posts, we engage with our audience, and when possible, try to build relationships. And to build relationships, we can do things like invite people that like or engage with posts from the page to follow you, or on Instagram, you can follow people that engage with your posts, and then they'll see that you follow them and be prompted to follow back. Absolutely don't forget to tell people to follow you on social media in person, in conversation, in signage, in your email footer, business cards, you name it. These platforms also make it easy to invite your personal contact list to follow your business page. So connect your contact list, your email, your customer list to social media for targeting or for connecting. Fourth concept to highlight is all about using the platforms for communication. The Messenger platform is also a world unto itself. But if nothing else, take the time to build out an autoresponder. These autoresponders are your friend that can relieve some of the burden of social media being open 24/7. And you can provide answers to some commonly asked questions immediately without having to take up your time or missing the messages. Also, you can proactively begin conversations with messenger triggers. And this even can give people clues about what they should be asking and starting conversations for them. So combine this with autoresponders and you've basically created a chatbot that will handle your most frequent consumer interactions. Since we do so much advertising on Facebook, some people find it surprising when we tell them to stop boosting immediately. This leads me to the fifth optimization area, to make sure that you are spending your money in support of your goals. Facebook makes it really easy to boost posts, and for many of the 80 million SMB business pages on Facebook, this is a way to do it. Over 6 million of these businesses have advertised on Facebook, but many of them use the quick and easy shortcut that appears on posts, giving the opportunity to boost. Facebook makes it really easy, and although easy is great, we have goals. And that's why I want you to be in alignment with your business goals whenever you spend money on ads. When we tell people to stop boosting immediately, we mean they should go deeper and make sure that any dollars given to Facebook are aligned with the goals of your business. Don't expect sales from boosting posts. Don't spend money on lead ads if all you want is awareness. Align everything in the campaign. So your page, objectives, targeting, the creative itself, and also the offsite places like the landing page. So sometimes you may want to boost content and get it seen by a larger audience. And although Facebook has toned down organic reach for brands, which encourages them to use these advertising platforms, we still always try to write content that is designed for the audience that we want to engage with. So to recap, there's no single secret, but instead, success on social media is big work with lots of opportunities for small wins. We suggest focusing on core components, tracking, being consistent and taking your social vitamin C, utilizing communications, and making sure your advertising spend is focused on your goals. I want to say thank you to everyone. We've saved a good amount of time here for questions, so I see there might be a couple already. I'm going to check that out, and we're going to take a look and see what we have, and I'll start to go through them. And also, as promised, I want to point out before I get into the questions, there is a link provided which has our extensive checklist of items to do, so you can check that out for your SMB clients. And I'm going to take a look at some of these questions. So we have, does it pop up here? So I'll start, so I'm going to go in, well, if you can, Steph is helping me out here. And so an easy one is, will we get a copy of the presentation? Marcy, thank you, Marcy. Oh, it's already answered. I see. Somebody's answering these. Thank you. Was that you?
Yep.
Oh. And then here we have one. Should a business do a mix of the goals you mentioned at the same time, or should they focus on one at a time? And yeah, for that, it really depends. We have clients who only run one type of ad campaign at a time because they may be a fairly new business. And some of our clients run multiple campaigns to continue filling and moving their sales funnel. I think it really definitely depends on sort of the stage of the business. Also, you might like to see some success from one type of campaign before you divert your focus and attention to many different things. So as a beginner, I would recommend starting off with something simple and focused, although it does vary. We do have a question. What should we do if our business name or client's business name is taken as the username? And this is like the frustrating thing in the world, or maybe not, but it's one of the many big frustrations, especially for local businesses, um, but also for larger brands when you have a great name idea, or you've already built a business on a name, but you were slow to get it. So I always recommend, as soon as I hear of a platform, I try to grab the right name so to beat others to the punch. But we try. But when this happens for our clients, we try different variations on the name. We might include a location, for example, to differentiate it from the other local businesses that have the same name. Sometimes we try abbreviations, but it's a big choice to make. Great question. So hashtags is the next question. What do they do? Are they required? Should they be made unique or build off other hashtags? And hashtags, another huge topic. So thank you for asking about that. Um, think of hashtags as a way to, as a user, as a way to discover things that are in a given topic, and as a business owner, as a way to be discovered by people who are interested in that topic. So some platforms like Instagram and Twitter are really big with hashtags, and they're not at all required. But if your goal is to be discovered, you want to use some on those platforms, especially. And so you can use a mixture of your own unique hashtags, and also the most general ones are going to be the ones that are likely, or if it's a trending hashtag, if you want to actually catch attention and be discovered. Let me look for another good question here. I'll take, let's do that one. Awesome. And as I already mentioned, so yeah, we will be sending a copy of the present. Actually, it'll come from Caitlin, I think, or maybe from Phil Frost over at Main Street ROI. And there's also going to be a recording. And also, of course, you can download the checklist at the URL that we provided. And Chuck, you're very welcome. And so where do I get the pixel to install on my website? Great question. And sorry, I probably could have gone into that a bit. So the pixel is part of the ads platform on Facebook. So you'll need an ads account, which you probably, it really depends on if you're an agency or the small business itself. Every user has an ads account to begin. But if you're an agency, you probably want to use Business Manager or some other way of getting an ad account, or the business that you may be working for may already have one, but it's connected to your ad account. Yeah, so when you go there, there's actually instructions for how to download the code and install it on your website. You might, depending on who's developing your website, you may have to work with another individual, or you might have access, but it's some standard JavaScript code. For those of you who've used Google Analytics or other things that provide snippets of code, it's as easy as that. So here's a question. How would you recommend and rank social networks for B2B? And yeah, this really, like I was saying, depends on your audience and who you're targeting. So it doesn't hurt to sort of test them all out. It really depends on what line of business you're in, but LinkedIn is perhaps the most likely great starting point for B2B, but there are successes on all of the platforms depending on sort of what industry you're in. Yeah. Let's see what's next.
A lot of questions coming in.
Yeah, you guys are awesome questions, and we'll do our best. And some of them we might want to give you more thorough answers. So if we can, if you send an email to me with either a repeat of the question, or I'll try to record these, but some of these we might be able to give you more thorough answers later. But let's see. You have another one handy? It's hard. They're not marked as answered on the list, so it's hard to go in. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. One question is about what about YouTube? Why didn't you talk about YouTube, Q? And we have, might be a good time to introduce Mac. The Mac is our office friend and dog. This is actually our surprise guest for So what Max says about YouTube is that uh, it's huge, and we some people will call it a social network, and it is in many ways a social network. And if you're a company or a content creator that has created lots and lots of content, and that's really your business's focus is creating that content, and you really just want views, and you maybe also have enough content that you want um, to build revenue from your content. YouTube's a way that you can monetize, the content that you create. But if you're just looking for views and for relationship building, you can do video on Facebook and Instagram, and you get a lot of the benefits of the live opportunity and the synergy with the platform. So if you're doing videos for the purpose of building relationships with your audience and for some of the other ideas that we talked about, and it's not an end unto itself, then we recommend sticking with uh, Facebook and Instagram for your videos. Yeah, you can think of it as basically a hosting platform for your videos. Thank you. Saw somebody ask about the checklist, which actually it's on the slide. So if you can see the slide right now, yeah, but I'll read it for you just so you have it. It's info.likablelocal.com/SMO-checklist. And I believe you can type it capital or lowercase. It works either way. But there's a dash there. So info.likablelocal.com/SMO-checklist. My client has multiple locations on Facebook. Are there guidelines? Excellent question, and that has been a challenge for over time. It can be confusing if you, depending on how you set it up and when you set it up. Now, Facebook now has something called a Locations Manager option that's created specifically for these types of businesses. And if they're, it depends partially on whether or not they've already done something, and if you can, I believe you can even combine different pre-existing pages into one business and then cite them as locations. And it partly depends on how, how many locations, how different the locations are. Sometimes a business really does want to form two different like if it's a two-location business and they have two different real communities, it makes sense to just keep those relatively separate. And sometimes, it's really a chain, and they think of the locations as just different outposts of one central business. And that sort of part depends on case by case. So we have definitely seen lots of cases, successful cases, where companies have different Facebook pages and different communities that are built around each of the locations of the business. Just going to take a quick look. Great questions. Thank you to all of you for asking, and I'm just looking around here. Google My Business. Yeah, we didn't talk too much about Google My Business, and I don't necessarily think of this as social, although it's all online. I think Google My Business is really part of your like SEO and part of your yeah. I think we talked about how you kind of always checking out how you look. I don't remember if it was one of the slides, but one of the things that I always advise is if you care about how you appear to the world, you always want to be looking as if you're a visitor. And so how you're, obviously you should be Googling your business name, and you can use Google My Business to really improve and make sure the accuracy of everything is great. That's something your SEO service should really help you focus on as well. And so definitely good stuff. And I just see how Chuck asked it twice. So thank you, Chuck. Okay, and then Sandra, thank you for mentioning her biggest frustration in social is about clients, in this case veterinary hospital clients, that are so busy that they are bad about providing photos from the business. And how do you motivate your clients to get more involved in helping to market their business, even when they have seen great results of content from the hospital? So the clients want everything done for them, and while they're busy, so are there any secrets to getting them more engaged? And and the answer is really in the question is really, it's depending also on how local they are, but through the formed relationships with them and really convincing them and maybe suggesting that there's different people in the organization that can share the content with them and making yourself more available to a wider pool of photo providers. The thing is, every single person has a camera in their pocket, so it can be a great way to coach them into asking for help and getting the pictures. And yeah, so actually John just reminded me that sometimes we'll actually do basically craft the post for a client and tell them your homework assignment to finish this is we need a picture and describe the picture that we need to fill the post, or what point we're trying to illustrate. And sometimes an open-ended request like, hey, can you send me some pictures, is really hard for people. But if you tell them something specific, they might be able to fulfill that, and it a little bit, yeah, puts the burden on them to do it, and it just creates a nice specific kind of responsibility. Cool. Oh, I'm glad you do. Sandra says she likes it. Thank you, and thank you to Chuck. And oh, how about yeah? So LinkedIn advertising as valuable as Facebook, and so it's much like the weights of the social networks. I think so. LinkedIn, there's a lot of things that you may or may not even call advertising, like the inbox feature I mentioned is not really an ad, but is a component of the power service that Sales Navigator, or there's a few different levels of the paid LinkedIn, and I think those are really effective when you're targeting a specific person or a specific class of people. Yeah, so in terms of the broad sort of features, it's going to be more expensive than Facebook, but again, you want to advertise to the audience that you want to hit. So if the audience is there, that could be good. But yeah, John agrees with me. Thank you, John. Yeah, but basically the strategic direct connections, really going after specific individuals. If a business is trying to form relationships, it's really powerful to be able to get into the inbox of a prospect or someone. So that would be the way that I would advise the advertising on LinkedIn. How much weightage does a page URL carry? So like meaning the page username, or yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know exactly what. Yeah, that's a great point. John was just pointing out. So there's a few different things. So I think that you want it to be unique, and it is unique by definition, but you want it to be also easy to convey in speech. Likeable local. We can tell people we're likeable local. The only tricky piece of that is that some people spell likeable incorrectly without that E. But the more simple and pronounceable, you wouldn't want it to be a crazy code. You'd want it to be the name of your business in plain English, with maybe, if you need to stick that location identifier in or something. So I would say that it's nice to make it a human understandable thing. And then if it has the exact product name, that's a good advice for your product name too, that it should be easy to pronounce or easy to spell and convey. But if you do have a jargony product name, I would probably try to find something that was not the exact product name, but easier to remember. But I would also tend to think about it. You mentioned product. I don't know if you're thinking about it in terms of a company that's a single product type company, but really thinking about, you're building a brand page or building a brand. So the product may be the brand. Yeah, if it's a company with many products, or I wouldn't, I'm not sure exactly if you're thinking about a Facebook page for each product, or if using one of the product catalog features. But in general, you want to use precise language to describe whatever it is you're naming, because that's how people will be able to find it and figure it out. Cool. Yeah, in terms of just indexing on search, so for those of you listening, I don't think you guys get to see the chat questions as they're coming in, but Vishal, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, is just trying to be aware of the indexing on search engines. And I think that the consistency is going to help them. across multiple channels and really using that. Google is looking at links and is trying to figure out when things are related to one another through those links and through the naming. So having, I think the most important piece of it in my mind would be making sure that your names are the same on all the platforms. Oh, yeah, and of course, actually, some of the platforms support this notion of being verified. So on Facebook, you can, I think it's definitely in our checklist. It's one of the things we do for all of our new customers. We always get the business to be verified, and that's going to be a way that Facebook is going to be able to put a little check mark that says you're verified. But also, I think all of the indices and all the search engines are going to know how to connect your Facebook page with your business. And also, it'll show up, it'll improve the priority in search. So, I don't think you need to mention. So, a question Vishal asked about mentioning the country language in the web page URL. I don't think you need to do that, although you could. I think if you have if you have a page for different international languages, I've seen that done for not necessarily the country language. I've seen that done for the nation. So the localized branding. I haven't seen it for the language, but in many cases, a country is common with the language, but there are exceptions. Good question. I can think about that some more and get back to you, Vishal. If you shoot me an email, I'll do a little more research for you. And great questions, everybody. So, my pleasure. Thank you. What? And that's our friend Mac. Mac is a lot of fun, but he does. We're facing the street here, so we're in Portland, Maine, and we're right on street, and whenever there's a mailman or somebody walking down the street with any kind of official uniform, we get excited. Okay. What? Okay, awesome. Sure. So yeah, we'll send out some more detailed responses. And thank you, Marcy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Maybe we have. Chuck asks about if we write a blog post on your website, is it a good idea to provide links to these posts on Facebook and LinkedIn? And totally a great idea. That's really like, yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest thing about these things is whenever you have something to share, share. There's nothing better than having something to say and then telling people about it. They're going to check out your website. They're going to remember who you are or your business. That's how you form relationships, when you put your ideas out there and share them with others. So that's like the best thing you can do. The challenge, of course, is coming up with that blog post in the first place. But if you've got it, put it out there. And yeah, one more thought on that is that we can. That's a great opportunity, especially if you've got your Facebook pixel on your website, and you can see who's reading your. You can target ads to people who have read your past blog posts, for example. So that's a really great way of engaging with your audience and focusing on them. And I'm going to take one more question because I see it, and then I think we're just coming up on the hour, so I'll be respectful of everyone's time. But Jean asks, is it bad to cross-post the same content across multiple platforms? And absolutely not. It is great to the audiences, while there is overlap, think of them as separate audiences. And also, what you can do is customize. So it's really a cross-post, same content, but you can tweak it. So you can speak, that's where you add in your hashtags for your Instagram or your Twitter posts, and maybe you shorten it also for those platforms. And you maybe tweak the way that you present the content, but the basic post should really, you might as well leverage the fact that you've taken the time to create the post and amplify the results by putting it out there in multiple places. So, all right, well, hey, thank you. You guys had some great questions. I apologize if I missed anyone, but please email me. Actually, even if you don't have a question, I'd love to know what you thought. And is Caitlin still there? Do you have any closing
Yep.
words or yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm still here. Thank you so much, Hugh, for that awesome information. I really enjoyed the guest presentation too for Mac. That was perfect. And thank you to everyone else for joining today's webinar. As a reminder, we will send out the replay video and the PDF of the slides, so look out for that. And as Hugh mentioned, you can shoot him an email if you have additional questions or feedback. And then we hope to see you next month for the next Master Your Marketing presentation from Active Demand. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.